Good evening and happy new Hijra year. Thank you for joining us. This is the Sultanate of Oman television. First, the headlines. The Conference on Strengthening Tsunami Early Warning in Northwestern Indian Ocean region reviews national strategies for early warning systems in tsunami dangers. Several number are killed and wounded in airstrikes on the southwestern province of Damar in Yemen. And the Taliban attacks and kills several members of the Afghan security forces as the talks between the US and Taliban negotiators are at the threshold of an agreement. Good evening once again, and thank you for joining us. Welcome to this Oman News Bulletin, and now the details. His Majesty Sultan Qaboos sends a Kabul greetings to His Excellency President Dr. Nguyen Phu Trong of Vietnam on his country's National Day. The Intergovernmental Oceanographic Commission of UNESCO, during a conference hosted by the Sultanate represented in the Public Authority for Civil Aviation, discussed the national strategies for early warning systems and tsunami dangers in the Makran subduction zone. Our reporter Saleh bin Khalfan al-Rahbi has more details in the following report.
To enable better understanding of tsunami hazards in the Makran subduction zone, the Intergovernmental Oceanographic Commission of UNESCO is implementing a multinational project aimed at strengthening tsunami early warning in the Northwest Indian Ocean region through regional cooperation.
Oman is one of the countries that might be affected. In fact, it has been affected in 1945 from an earthquake in this subduction zone. And about 4,000 people were reported dead in Pakistan of that tsunami. Luckily in Oman, we were fortunate enough that no casualties were reported. This project will strengthen the cooperation between member countries to discuss the Makran subduction zone, which is scientifically still not very well understood.
That the subduction zone here, that's the area which generate big earthquake, is very, very poorly known. Therefore, we decided to run some seismic profiles, which was really happened in 3 profiles we run in the Sistan and Balochistan region. And the whole plan was that to be able to cover the Iran and the Gulf, the Oman Gulf, and also Oman at the same time. But because from scientific point of view, I mean, that was feasible and possible, but at the same time it was very difficult to conduct it. Therefore, what happened that we did do some survey to be able to understand the parameters. That is very important. We know the parameters for modeling, and the modeling is very important to be able to estimate if an earthquake happened, and also after that the tsunami happened. Then what happens that after that. Will be kind of using that for to be able to understand what's really happening and what is the main part that we have to take care of.
This high-level conference focuses on tsunamis in the Makran region and discusses national strategies for tsunami early warning in the area.
This conference is being conducted as part of a project that IOC UNESCO has secured from UNESCAP Trust Fund on Climate and Disaster Preparedness. So this project is entitled Strengthening Tsunami Early Warning in the Northwest Indian Ocean through Regional Cooperation. And this conference here, which is being hosted by the DG Met PACA, will address some of those issues in our understanding of the hazard, and then how we need to improve our warning chains to address the near-field tsunami threat.
The new strategies is trying to develop the understanding about the warning chain, how actually we can make the warning becomes much better. Second is to look into the standard operating procedures that is already established, and trying to look into how actually this to revise the standard operating procedures to be able to respond to tsunami that happens near field, that can actually hit the wave, hits the coastal within minutes.
It is worth mentioning that the participants at the event include representatives of tsunami warning centers, disaster management agencies, seismologists, and tsunami modelers. The endeavor here is to enhance preparedness of the near-field tsunami-prone communities to respond appropriately against tsunami threats. For the Sultanate of Oman Television, Saleh Bukhalfan al-Rahbi, Muscat.
The Arab-led coalition fighting Yemen's rebels attacked a detention center in the southwestern province of the Mar with several airstrikes today, killing at least 1,000 people or 100 people and wounding several dozen. The attack was the deadliest so far this year by the coalition. Yemeni officials said today's strikes targeted a college in the city of the Mar, which the rebels known as Houthis were using as a detention center. The coalition denied it had struck a lock-up, saying it had targeted a military site. The International Committee of the Red Cross, which inspects detention centers as part of its global mission, said it has visited the site in the past. Former detainees, meanwhile, said the Houthis had also used the site in the past to store and repair weapons. Today, Sweden's foreign minister was holding talks in Jordan, part of her efforts to relaunch negotiations after years of stalemate between the warring sides. At least 5 people are dead in West Texas after a man stopped by state troopers for failing to signal a left turn, opened fire and fled, shooting more than 20 people as he drove before being killed by officers outside a movie theater. The shooting began with an interstate traffic stop where gunfire was exchanged, with police setting off a chaotic campaign or rampage during which the suspect hijacked a mail carrier truck and fired at random as he drove in the area of Odessa and Midland, 2 cities in the heart of Texas oil country, more than 483 kilometers west of Dallas. Police initially reported possible multiple shooters, but Odessa police said there was only one male suspect in his 30s. In Washington, top negotiators said today that talks between the U.S. and Taliban negotiators are at the threshold of an agreement to end 18 years of conflict between them. They have been meeting in Doha to finalize a deal under which the Taliban would give security guarantees in return for sharp reductions to the 13,000-strong U.S. force in Afghanistan. Zalmay Khalilzad added that he would travel to Kabul today for consultations following the end of the 8th and final day of the latest round of talks. U.S. troops were first sent to Afghanistan after the September 11, 2001 attacks carried out by Al-Qaeda, which was sheltered by the former Taliban regime. Washington now wants to end its military involvement, the longest in its history, and has been talking to the Taliban since at least 2018. The Taliban attacked a second Afghan city in as many days today and killed several members of security forces. The attack on the capital of Baghlan province came hours after U.S. envoy Zalmay Khalilzad said he warned the Taliban during talks in Qatar that violence like this must stop. The attacks are seen as strengthening the negotiating positions of the Taliban, who control or hold sway over roughly half of Afghanistan and are at their strongest since their 2001 defeat by a U.S.-led invasion. The Interior Ministry said 4 civilians and 2 members of the security forces were killed and 20 civilians and 2 security forces wounded. It said the Taliban fighters had also been killed. The city, with more than 220,020 people, is about 230 kilometers north of Kabul. Hurricane Dorian strengthened into a catastrophic Category 5 storm today, packing 267 kilometers per hour winds as it was about to slam into the Abaco Island in the Bahamas. The Miami-based National Hurricane Center said the eye wall of this catastrophic hurricane is about to hit the Abaco Island with devastating winds. The slow-moving storm was expected to linger over the Bahamas, dumping up to 25 inches of rain in some areas and unleashing storm surges of 10 to 15 feet. Still to come in our news bulletin. In Korea, 57 photographers showcase their works there. Welcome back to the news from the Sultanate of Oman television. The average price of the Omani crude oil rose by 0.06% by the end of June 2019 to reach $64.03 per barrel compared to the same period in 2018. The National Center for Statistics and Information pointed out that the Sultanate's total quantities of the exported crude oil and condensates exceeded 145 million barrels by the end of June 2019, recording a decline by 0.5%. Meanwhile, the average daily production of the oil reached 97,600 barrels with an increase by 0.02%. According to the statistics, China's imports of the Omani exported crude oil recorded the highest percentage. The monetary supply with its narrow meaning recorded a slight increase to reach more than 5 billion Omani Riyals at the end of June 2019. The quasi-monetary supply also witnessed a growth of 5.7% during the same period to reach more than 12 billion Omani Riyals. Both money supplies are increased by 4% to reach more than 17 billion Omani Riyals at the end of June 2019. Small and medium-sized enterprises registrations was declined in the governorate around the Sultanate by 14% as at the end of July this year, according to the governorate and establishment data. The Statistical Bulletin of National Statistics and Information Center pointed out that the number of institutions exceeded by 3,000 compared to the same period of the previous year. The statistics also showed that the number of Sultanate's governorates recorded a growth in the registration of the small and medium-sized enterprises. "57 photographers showcased their works in a photography exhibition held in the Wilaya of Quriyat in the Governorate of Muscat. The exhibition included various photos that shed light on the capabilities and skills of the Omani photographers. The works presented in the exhibition focused on the beauty of the Omani environment, culture and nature. During the event, the Quriyat photography team was inaugurated as some of the excelled photographers were honored. Now for the general weather forecast around the Sultanate. Clear skies will prevail over the most of the governorates with chances of low clouds and fog late at night and early morning. Over the coasts of the Arabian Sea and Sea of Oman, partly cloudy skies with chances of intermittent drizzle are expected over the governorate of Dhofar. Winds will be south to southeasterly light to moderate. Seas will be slight with a maximum wave height of 1 meter. More details on your screen. This is the Sultanate of Oman television. Before we end tonight's bulletin, here are the main points once again. The Conference on Strengthening Tsunami Early Warning in Northwest Indian Ocean region reviews national strategies for early warning systems and tsunami dangers. Several number are killed and wounded in airstrikes on the southwestern province of Damar in Yemen. And the Taliban attacks and killed several members of the Afghan security forces as the talks between the US and Taliban negotiators are at the threshold of the agreement. And with that, we do conclude this news bulletin brought to you live from this news center of the Sultanate of Oman television. Thank you for joining us and good night.